My next guest is a MacArthur Genius Fellow and quite possibly my favorite living author. Please welcome George Sounders.
For a number of years now, of course, George has been getting literary and other awards recognizing him as not only an immensely talented writer, but also as one of the most influential and original authors of our time.
In the absence of Mark Twain and Kurt Vonnegut and Chuck Jones and Jonathan Swift and Brian O'Nolan and Carl Kraus and many others, we have with us here tonight George Sounders.
For short story fans, George Sounders is a kind of god. He's gotten the Genius Grant, and the New York Times called his last collection, 10th of December, the best book you'll read this year.
Well, how did your process change going from short story to novel? I mean, did you have to adjust the margins or anything like that? You seem to be padding out the pages just a little bit here.
Yeah.
I just want to point out there's a lot of empty spaces. On the pages, a lot of empty part of the pages.
More text on it.
If I boiled this down.
Well, in early revision, I had 60-point font, but then I went to this. Yeah.
That book is based on this story I heard years ago, and the story was that when Lincoln was president, his beloved son, Willie, passed away. And newspapers at the time reported that Lincoln was so grief-stricken that he'd actually gone into the crypt on several occasions to somehow interact with the body. So the book just takes place on that night when Lincoln entered into the crypt.
So somewhere I started to feel like in order to really get the power of that story, I needed to have some historical spine. What I did was I started sampling verbatim from these historical texts and then typing them up, cutting them up, and putting them on the floor of my study and just arranging them narratively. And I had that period where I'm like, this is not writing. Everyone's going to make fun of me. This is just typing.
Saunders needed 166 narrators to create a sufficient cross-section of a war-torn America. But what was tricky for the page became impossibly unwieldy for the audiobook. Saunders and his producer Kelly Gildea are now set to break the Guinness record for the most number of voice actors featured, with a cast including Oscar winners like Julianne Moore, as well as Don Cheadle and fellow author David Sedaris. It also features Saunders' parents, wife, kids, and 2 of his high school teachers.
An exceedingly tall and unkempt fellow was making his way toward us through the darkness.
This was highly irregular. It was after hours. The front gate would be locked.
The boy had been delivered only that day. That is to say, the man had most likely been here
quite recently.
That afternoon.
Highly irregular.
Lincoln in the Bardо, George Sounders.
So does that have any cosmic meaning that Americans are now winning this thing?
I think it's okay. I mean, I think,
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's just the books published in England in a given year. It doesn't matter what the passport is.
И что теперь за сказки про привидений дают Букеровскую премию? Между прочим, на деньги этой премии можно целую квартиру во Владивостоке купить. После первого прочтения я вообще не поняла, за что.
Читатель, даже самый неискушенный, может почитать роман «Победитель большой литературной премии» с тем же удовольствием, что несколько лет назад читал «Гордость и предубеждение» и «Зомби» и почувствовать сопричастность к мировому литературному процессу.
Есть книги, которые экспериментируют с чем-то. Их пишут, чтобы поиграть словами, выпендриться, сорвать пару-тройку хвалебных отзывов от рафинированных эстетов, получить какую-нибудь книжную премию.
Одно могу сказать с уверенностью. Если бы я не стала ее читать, то абсолютно точно ничего бы не потеряла. Идея сюжета интересная, а вот исполнение не понравилось.
Проза Сондерса – это литературная среда, плотная, свежая, со странным мистическим очарованием. Во всяком случае, читая книгу, мы с изумлением видим, как истощенный труп постмодернизма вновь наливается кровью.
В сущности, книга Сондерса – это поэма, чтобы не сказать оратория, написанная свободным стихом и рассказывающая обо всех бедах Америки.
It's kind of a real depressing book. Yeah.
It is heartbreaking. I will say that. Why are you trying to shatter my heart on every page here? Because
I love you. Because I love you.